Hello and welcome to Ergo Presents Tech Leaders Live. Here we talk to some of the most influential IT leaders to uncover how they're navigating the ever-evolving IT industry. My name is Yvonne Meijerhoff, Head of Marketing and Products at Ergo, and today I will be talking to Elaine Collins, Head of Customer Operations and IT at SMBC Aviation Capital. Elaine is an esteemed leader with experience in transforming IT across Irish and global markets. Thank you, Elaine, for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here, Yvonne. Thanks.
Imagine you're on a plane and you're seated next to someone who has no idea about IT and aviation finance. How would you describe your role?
Okay, well, I'll start with myself. So, Elaine Collins. I work in SMBC Aviation Capital at the moment, as you said. Previous to this, I was in a startup insurance company. And previous to that, I spent 16 years in Dell Technologies. I suppose my background is project management. That's where I really, how I described that I grew up in technology was really managing large scale projects and programs in Dell all over the world. So fabulous experience with different nationalities and cultures and the way that people operate, and was able to use quite a lot of what I studied. So I did chemistry and mathematics in college, but I have a postgrad in applied and theoretical statistics. So definitely comes in handy even still today when I'm trying to look at how my teams are performing. And now maybe on a little bit to what aircraft leasing is about. So my role is varied. So there are just about 300 people in the company. What I tell my teams is that the most important job we have is to make sure that everybody in the company has access to the tools and information that they need to do their job. So yes, maybe it's the, boring part of the job, making sure people can open their laptops, use their email and whatever applications that they need, but it's definitely the priority that we have every day. There's a lot of change involved, We are an industry that's ever changing. The assets that we deal with in aircraft leasing are so expensive, but the principles behind change remains the same as it does for everyone else. It's very important that we get value from the change that we are implementing and designing, and the way that we change our applications needs to be appropriate and really deliver benefit to the company and deliver benefit to the employees in the company. I'm not a leader that believes in, shiny new change and, robotics for the sake of it, but rather that we're looking at how change and what changes can make people, do their job better. What will make it easier for them to come into work and deliver more for the company?
Speaking about change, Ireland's financial sector saw mergers and acquisitions spree in the first half of 2023. Our own team at Ergo have been involved with a lot of our clients, helping them to maintain organizational productivity during the process of change. And speaking about change, what would you say about your role as an IT leader to orchestrate change and transformation?
Yeah, we embarked on our own acquisition last year. So we closed on an acquisition actually just at the end of December last year. So a couple of things, and we worked with Ergo on that, and it was very successful. But from other roles, I had a lot of experience in managing integrations and acquisitions. So the first thing is to understand what's really important. So what was important for us was to make sure that we could begin that culture transformation as quickly as possible. Technology is a key enabler for that, because if people can't connect, if you're not on the same email system, if you can't contact or message someone using Teams, which is the application we use, then it makes it very difficult to join the two companies together from a culture perspective. So while technology is certainly not the only element in that change, it's very important. So for us, that was the first thing that we wanted to look at, was on the collaboration side, really get that up and running as quickly as possible. But also important in managing these large-scale change programs is, remembering that as well as this change that you're managing and this big program, the business still has to continue. So you have to still keep going day to day and making sure, you know, that you're hitting your numbers. So while it's exciting to be involved in, you know, such great change programs, there's a load of employees, and the majority of employees in our company weren't involved in the acquisition. So for us, we were really pleased at the end of it to say that when we looked back at the end of the year, that we had still hit all of the IT roadmap deliverables, you know, that we had committed to at the beginning of the year. So not only important, you know, for our shareholders and for our customers, but for employees as well, that they can continue to see improvements in their job and in the applications and in how they're able to execute on their job day in, day out. Remembering that, you know, the focus is not the project. The focus is the business outcome that you're trying to achieve at the end of it. And, you know, I see technology leaders sometimes forgetting that and getting so consumed by the project itself that you forget what you're trying to deliver. But I think if you keep the outcome or the results that you're trying to achieve as that North Star, you know, you'll be well set up. You know, make decisions quickly. You know, don't make sure your team are empowered to move on, you know, without you for the decisions that they can make, and that there's, you know, an informed and appropriate steering committee to lead the project and make sure that, you know, the governance just is there to help the project along the way rather than, you know, impede their progress on their journey.
Okay, very good. And you touched on it already, the alignment with business and achieving business outcome. Would you agree that today CIOs are not merely technology implementers, but that they are rising to be the architects of business?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, more than ever, you know, we really need to remember that we are enabling the future potential of the company. So we almost have to stay a couple of steps ahead of, you know, where the folks that are consumed in the day-to-day are thinking. And, you know, what I describe to my teams, and, you know, I'm not sure what other people use, but is that you, rather than go into a meeting, you know, with business teams or with the commercial teams and say, you know, what do you want from us? Like, we're the technologists, and, you know, I work with my teams to help them remember that we are the technologists. So we should be able to, you know, clearly demonstrate to those business teams, you know, what it is that we can offer to them. So I describe it as, you know, offering a menu of options. You know, you go into a restaurant, the server doesn't say to you, you know, what do you want? And you decide in a vegetarian restaurant, you might eat some beef, right? So, you know, we have to, you know, let the folks know what's possible. So, you know, show them the art of the possible, I think, is the sort of common term for it. But I think if we're able to do that, then, you know, that's the beginning of IT leaders or CIOs, you know, really helping to transform the company. You know, I suppose even in my own role, you know, you mentioned that I'm not just the head of IT, but also customer operations. So my teams work very closely together, you know, to deliver and change processes that will make it more effective, more efficient to deliver better service for our customers.
Great, great. And that actually ties in very nicely with my next question for you. So you've worked in different types of organizations, startups and global companies. And from your experience, what is the essence of nurturing and retaining IT talent?
So you know, obviously the IT market is hot at the moment. There's very little unemployment, which is great for graduates and, you know, for all of us that work in the IT industry. But as leaders, it's very important that we are nurturing the talent. So for me, what I try to remember and what I instill in my managers is that, you know, it's up to them to make sure that their employees and each individual on their team understands what their job is. So what is their job description? What is their role and their responsibilities? And importantly, how does that tie up then into the company objectives? You know, can they see a connection between what they're doing every day, between what the company wants to achieve at the end of the year and into the future? I think it's only right for us to discuss with individuals, you know, what our expectations are of them, so that then they can, maybe correct or at least understand, what's expected of them and what can they do to make sure that they're, on the way to that journey. Not everybody is going to have the same career path, especially in IT, right? So really brilliant engineers, and some of the best ones that I've worked with, are never going to make good managers. I think if you go back, 10 or 15 years, that was really the only promotional possibility for people, was to come up through the ranks a little bit and then, become a people manager. And that was the, pinnacle of success. But, in the company I work in now, and in some of the others, there are verticals where, individual contributors can reach, the very top of the company levels, get better salary recognition, and really achieve more personal objectives. So it's very important, particularly in IT, for us to make sure that those career paths are available.
Excellent, very good. In terms of diversity and inclusion, what is, in your experience, how does a diverse workforce contribute to more innovative and successful technology solutions?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to say that it's well recognised now that, a diverse workforce, delivers more, is better, and, there's no need for any of us to try and fight about that now, which is, exciting. It's important, though, that diversity is not just about gender, I think. So we have to remember that in the teams that we lead, that we need to look for all different types of diversity. So cultural diversity, tenure diversity. Some of the best ideas that we've had in the last few years have come from folks that have just joined the company. So, I co-sponsor a gender diversity initiative in SMBC Aviation Capital. We've signed up to an IATA 25 by 2025 initiative, which means that we want to increase gender diversity by 25% by 2025. So, formal initiatives like that obviously really help encourage, the whole company, to at least think about the decision that they're making. As leaders and, with my peers, when we think about diversity, that it's not just about gender, though. It's about all these other types of diversity that we should be including in our teams, because, just because the idea is different probably means it has some merit. I never want to hear, well, we have to do it this way because that's the way that we've always done it.
Yes.
And as technology leaders, it's obviously the most disheartening thing that you can hear, because we want people to improve. So I think working, with different types of people will only encourage us away from that kind of mentality.
Very good. Diversity and sustainability are two sides of the same coin, and I'm just wondering, has your role evolved to support organizational priorities around sustainability and the environment?
Yeah, definitely. So we have SMBC Aviation Capital have made a big investment in a carbon credit program. So we're working, we've done, a couple of deals with some airlines to sell them carbon credits. And, for us, exactly as you said, it's not just about sustainability, but the programs that we've invested in are actually helping people in Africa, so mainly women, access better education. We put a lot of thought and effort into the kind of initiatives that the carbon credit program is supporting. But really, what sustainability is everybody's, I suppose, problem or challenge, and that we all need to think about it every day. As IT leaders, we need to be conscious, making sure that we are providing people with tools so they don't need to print as much, for example. And we've dramatically cut down on printing in our office, since COVID. So maybe that was, one of the benefits of that scary time. But also really making sure that technology is enabling people to access the information that they need, so that they don't need to then, print it or hand it around to each other. We're obviously looking at the data center, and, we've halved our footprint. in the last few years. So that's obviously got a lovely cost benefit as well, but really positive for the environment.
Great. So on a lighter note, outside of your day job, what is the most unexpected place you found yourself fixing a tech issue?
Well, we've all had like lots of them. So there's been weddings and parties and all of that. But maybe one of the most complicated was my daughter turned 5 at the very beginning of the first lockdown. So she had her party already planned and knew who was coming and all of that. But, COVID put paid to all of that. So I had to organise a birthday party on Zoom.
Wow!
So the challenge of getting 2 sets of grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. We were still early enough in the pandemic that a lot of them hadn't used Zoom yet. So there were test calls and tech implementations virtually because I couldn't visit anyone at home. There were lots of knees at the beginning and carpet shots, but we got there. We got Happy Birthday sung with everybody's face in shot, so we called it a day pretty quick. But so maybe not the most unusual, but certainly a challenging thing that I had to do. My goodness.
Excellent. At least everybody knew after that how to use Zoom. So
set them up for success. Yeah,
absolutely. Very good. So IT changes so rapidly. What advice would you give to your past self from 5 years ago?
Well, I think it's really to remain open to technology. So, we've seen the advent of ChatGPT, but I think what I would remind myself of 5 years ago is that just because the technology is new and exciting, you don't need to jump in with both feet. It still remains that the technology that you implement in your organization has to be appropriate for the company that you're working in, for the employees that work there, and make sure that there is a benefit at the end of it. So just because ChatGPT, for example, is the newest, latest, greatest thing, it doesn't mean that you have to run out and embrace it. You have to make sure that it's going to deliver benefit to the company that you're working in, or the employees that work in your company.
This has truly been a very thought-provoking and interesting conversation with you today. Thank you very much, Elaine, and thank you all for watching. We look forward to seeing you on another episode of Tech Leaders Live.